Is there audio now?
Yeah, it's there.
Yeah. Yay! Hi everyone! Finally doing another live stream.
Give me 2 more seconds with no audio.
Alright.
Alright.
Where do we find the link to the live stream? Wow, there's so many of you here already. I have Dan with me today. He's decided to join this time. Last time he was just a voice outside of the camera. Alright, hold on 1 second guys. I just need to get the link to post on Instagram and Twitter. And then today we're going to be editing a photo shoot that I did last week on the Sony a7 III. And we'll be editing the photos in Lightroom. Okay, Instagram done. Now to post to Twitter. Colorado, where are you guys from?
Yeah, where's everyone from?
We're from Australia. You've literally inspired me to take so many more photos and are excited to do more natural shoots. Yay! That's really awesome to hear. The photo shoot that we're editing today is actually another no makeup photo shoot. I've been doing them so much lately. I really love just how natural it is.
There are people from everywhere. UK, China, Estonia, UK, Melbourne, Brazil, Cyprus, British Guianas, India, Sweden.
Alright, post it on Twitter. Twitter! Oh my gosh, you guys are from everywhere. Too bad you're at work. We're going to try streaming at some different times in the future. We're thinking maybe live streaming once every 2 to 3 weeks. Last time we did a live stream, I completely lost my voice because we were online for like 3 hours and I'm usually a very quiet person. So talking for 3 hours was not good.
3 hours is a fair amount of time.
It was a lot. Sydney, Argentina, inspired me to experiment with split toning. I love split toning.
You had a video coming out on split toning there.
Yeah, on Saturday. I've never tried the Sigma version of the 35mm, but there is a 35mm 1.8, which I think is quite a lot cheaper than the 1.4.
Yeah,
And
but I think the Sigma is actually cheaper than that anyways.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I think. The Sigma's good.
Yeah, but I really want to hire the Sigma 35 and do like a comparison video because so many people ask me about the Sigma version, so I feel like I should try it. Thanks a lot for your kind answer on the other video about what to bring on a shoot to feel confident. Keep inspiring us. Your work is amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brazil, India, Hungary, Scotland, Japan, Nigeria. Ah, so cool. Alright, I reckon we will start editing. You guys ask us any questions about anything and we'll just like talk about photography, talk about whatever you guys want. Do you think the 35mm 1.8 will still be good though? Because I'm really obsessed with photos and really want to get shots like yours. The first time I used a 35, I actually asked my friend to bring her lens with her, and it was the 35 1.8, and the quality was amazing. The photos came out really sharp. I feel like the 35 is just a really, like, general good
And wasn't
lens.
that was still the 35 1.8 Mark 1, no?
Is there a Mark 2?
I believe so. I'm pretty sure they stopped making that one and jumped onto a better one.
And also it was the 1.8 on the Canon 5D Mark II as well, and that was sharp. So
If that works,
yeah.
anything
Vietnam, Miami, Philippines, Affinity Photo. I've never tried it before. How can you easily duplicate settings across multiple images? So if I were to like make this really bright, which looks amazing, I have this one selected in develop mode, and then I just hold down shift and select all the photos that I want edited, and then just press sync. And now they all have that beautiful edit.
How do you know if a lens will be fast at 50 1.4 and if the model is moving and never get it into focus?
If the model's never moving.
If the model's moving.
I would recommend to start shooting with a bit of a higher aperture, just to get used to taking photos of movement, and then slowly making your way down to like f1.4 or 1.2. But yeah, it just takes practice. I used to shoot a lot of movement stuff back in the day. Like I'd get my model to walk and spin around, and I would shoot it on like 2.8 because otherwise like 1 in every 20 photo was out of focus. So yeah, just lots of practice.
Andy's asking if the 35 distorts the face.
I find that the 35 doesn't distort too much. I feel like the 24 definitely distorts faces, but the majority of the photos that you see like on my Instagram feed and in my portfolio and stuff like that, they're all taken on the 35. And yeah, it doesn't really distort what people look like. There is like a sweet spot with it, so you don't want to put someone like right at the top of the frame because it might distort their forehead like a little bit. But if you frame it kind of like this photo, it will look fine. These were all taken on the Sony a7 III, by the way, with the Canon 50mm 1.2. I'll pop the settings up there so you guys can see. And no, I don't use back button focus. I find that really like slows me down. I prefer just focusing. I pick a focus point, the one that's closest to my model's face, and then I just use the shutter to focus. So yeah, I prefer focus and recompose compared to back button focus. The weather in Australia in October is really nice. It's just really warm, yeah.
It's good.
It's not too hot. I feel like January and February are like the hottest months, so October's perfect.
It's much warmer than it is now.
I know, I'm freezing now. It's not even that bad. It's 7 degrees outside Celsius and it's like 20 degrees inside, but I'm cold. A7 II versus Canon 60, which one is better? I've never used the 60 before, but the A7 II is really good. Yeah, it really depends on what kind of photography you're after. And honestly, I feel like any camera body and any lens can get the job done depending, again, like what you're doing and how you work with your gear.
We come down to Canberra quite often. It's bloody cold down there. Even when it's not winter, it gets cold at night. Are you thinking of changing to the 85 1.4 image stabilizer?
I wouldn't mind testing it out, but I do really love my 85 1.2 Mark II. It's just such a pretty lens. It has a real character about it, like the photos it gets and the way it focuses. You got to get used to it, but it focuses really well. And also the lens flare is so beautiful in the 1.2. But yeah, if I test out the 1.4, I'll definitely make a video out of it. For people asking, well, I've got a question. The 80D, is it good enough for first more professional camera? For me personally, I feel like the main thing that I need in a camera in order to consider it like professional, to be able to shoot for clients and stuff like that, is that it has 2 card slots, because I don't ever want one of my cards to get like air it out and I lose all the photos. So I definitely need 2 card slots. If it's got 2 card slots, then you can use pretty much any camera for professional work, in my opinion. Like, that's what I need personally. Again, it's not about the camera, it's just what you do with it. Why is my photo like flashing?
What do you mean?
Oh, it stopped now. As soon as you look at it, it stops.
That's how it works, right? Six Ds are good if you don't need dual card slots. 6Ds compared to a 600.
Yeah.
Especially 6Ds a full frame camera compared to a 600, which isn't.
Well, I actually wanted to make a video about reasons to upgrade your lens versus reasons to upgrade your camera, because there's definitely different reasons to consider to upgrading each of them, right?
Yeah, well, apart from whether it's a crop sensor or a full frame sensor, once you're in full frame, the lens makes the difference in your look. The camera is more ergonomics, speed, like dual card slots, stuff like that, like battery life, focusing, that sort of stuff. But what your image will actually look like comes down to the glass, not to the camera.
Yeah. I feel like if you were to upgrade your camera, it's because you would want maybe more dynamic range in your photos, a faster buffer so you can take more photos one after another, resolution as well.
Quicker focusing. Both the camera and the lens plays a part in that, though. It's not.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not one or the other. It's both.
I feel like her eyes are slightly out of focus in this shot. I'm going to try sharpening them with an adjustment brush because I really like this photo.
Why do you call your presets after cities or towns? Any interesting story there?
Yeah, I usually make a preset after I've traveled somewhere, and I always take my camera with me while I travel, so I take hundreds and hundreds of photos of the place that I'm at. And then I usually like to make a new color inspired by that city that I went to. My favorite one for me is probably San Francisco, because when we went there it was just extremely foggy and really cold, even though it was the middle of summer. So the colors I made from that kind of reflected the feeling that I had while I was visiting the city. And yeah, that goes for pretty much all the presets named after places. It's like a good inspiration to create original or different looking colors, because you're not inspired by someone else's colors, you're more inspired by like your thoughts and feelings towards a place that you went to, if that makes sense. You're an inspiration for a lot of us here. What inspires you? I'm, again, like I said, inspired by like cities and places. I love traveling and I love being out in nature. I feel like I get a lot of ideas for my photo shoots from locations that I come across. Just the other day, actually, we were dropping off some rings that we used for a photo shoot to someone's shop. And when we parked the car, I saw this street that had like all these beautiful houses and these big bushy trees out the front. And I was like, we need to do a photo shoot here. So it's like, yeah, I'm usually inspired by locations. Can you do some shoots with male models and tips on posing them, or do you only shoot female models? I used to shoot a lot of male models back in the day, actually. I don't so much anymore, but I did do a photo shoot recently with a male model at the beach, and it's on my YouTube channel if you guys want to have a look. But yeah, I'm planning on doing that a little bit more often. I'm moving back to Sydney and wanted to know some of the best places you would suggest to shoot at. For me, there's so many beaches in Sydney, so I love going to the beach to shoot. I pretty much just go on Google Maps and like pick any beach, and they always look amazing. Otherwise, Centennial Park is such a good place. Do kangaroos in Australia still wear boxing gloves?
Yes.
I thought it went out of fashion.
It did for a while in the 80s.
It came back.
It came back. Where did you even find that? Where did you even find that?
From there.
Oh.
Yeah, I'd love to see a video about posing normal people too. I'm working on it. I want to get my sister to model for that one. Because she, is not a professional model, so I think that'll be really fun. And also, my sister hasn't been in a video for ages, so we've got to get her back. Have to head out to work. Bye. Hopefully next time I can watch the whole thing. Oh, bye. Thanks for coming though for a little bit. When do you think you know your photos are nice enough to contact a modeling agency for a test shoot? I feel like if you feel like you're ready to take photos of someone else, or you just want to do something different or work with a model, then you should definitely get in contact, because the worst thing they can say is no, so you may as well try. And if they say no, then just practice for a little bit longer and then get in contact with them again. I feel like the worst thing, it took me ages to get around to getting in contact with modeling agencies when I first started. And when I finally did, I wish I had done it just so much sooner.
Do you have any suggestions for getting the motion eye posing from the model?
Motion eye posing.
Emotion.
Oh, emotion. Yeah, I feel like I kind of try and get my models to relax as much as possible when we're at a shoot. Like, we'll be talking about lots of different things while we're taking photos, and I try not to shoot for too long, as it can get quite tiring and everyone can be kind of over it after a little while. So most of my photo shoots are like an hour long, and yeah, I ask my models to give me that kind of look. I show them some of my inspiration photos and like what I'm aiming for with the photo shoot. And if they do something that I see through the camera that I really like, I tell them to do more of that or something similar to that. I won't tell your boss that you're here.
How do you know what aperture is right for a photo? You shoot a lot at 1.4, but then sometimes top down to 2.2 anyways.
So I shoot 1.4 mostly for my personal work, because I love that depth of field, and it doesn't bother me too much if a photo isn't like perfectly sharp everywhere. I bring my aperture down or up. I bring my aperture to like 2 when I'm shooting for, say, a clothing label, because you need the face and the clothes to be in focus in the photo. I also shoot at f2 when I'm shooting weddings, because again, I really want the photos to be sharp, and there's lots of like movement, people are walking around a lot while I'm taking photos, so yeah, that's pretty much when I shoot at f2 or 2.2. And also when it's really bright. I took, where was the last place? Oh, a photo shoot that we did just before this. I was shooting in harsh sunlight, and it was like the middle of the day, and I had to shoot at 2.8. 1/8000 to get the photos exposed correctly.
Essentially midday.
Yeah. But yeah, I find that I pretty much never have to go over 2.8.
Could you do a tutorial on travel portrait photography, but for a crowded iconic landscape, Eiffel Tower, Venice, that kind of thing?
Yeah, that would be cool.
We'll have shot at both.
I feel like, okay, my biggest tip if you want to go to a famous landmark that's usually full of people is to just wake up super early and go like just before sunrise and stay there for sunrise, of course, as well. But I find that's when places are the most empty.
You gotta be there when it's still dark.
Like
you gotta beat everyone to it. That's all it is.
Yeah.
First come, first served.
And then it's great because you've got no people in the shot, but also you have like the best lighting of the day to take photos too, so it's really worth it. I gotta edit.
Same boat as you, I have Canon lenses and body, but thinking of getting the A7 III. Do you recommend making the switch?
I'm gonna make a full review video about using the A7 III with Canon lenses, but at the moment I'm pretty happy with everything that the A7 III does, especially with using Canon lenses. This photo shoot that we're editing here in particular though, I got really frustrated this day. I was using the Canon 50mm 1.2 on the Metabones 4 adapter, so it might be better on the newer adapter. I have to test that out still. But the focusing was giving me so much trouble on this day. I think because of the location, like it was extremely backlit, so I had to kind of shoot on this angle where it isn't as golden hour as I could have gotten it. But like that's pretty much the only time I've had trouble with the focusing on the Canon lens. But yeah, aside from that, I've been really happy with all the photos and the focusing and stuff like that.
It also flares differently because of the Metabones.
Yeah, it does flare differently. Do I have any shots? Oh, here. There's some portraits we took, and there's like this weird lens flare that I've never seen on Canon before. It definitely flares differently. I would love to see you in a video with Jessica Kubasi. I would love to do a video with her too. And with like so many other people, but living in Australia,
we're on the other side of the world.
It's so far away.
Do you usually underexpose while shooting?
I love underexposing. I feel like you can get really beautiful like skin detail when you underexpose. And also your whole photo is exposed correctly, especially if you've got any bright highlights in the background. So yeah, I pretty much always underexpose.
Dziękuję. Do you use aperture priority?
No, I shoot in full manual mode. Mostly because that makes processing easier. So say I've got like this whole set of images here that are all the same pretty much, and I want to edit all of them. I would probably only pick one or two, but say I wanted all photos, I can easily just edit one photo the way I like it and then sync those settings across that entire set, and it'll all be exactly the same. Whereas if I shot with like aperture priority or something on auto, each of those photos might look a little bit different. So yeah, I shoot full manual, and I always have my white balance on manual mode as well. Do a video with Kaylee June, she's also from Australia. Yeah, I would love to do that actually. No, I don't live in the US.
What would be in your camera bag if you want to travel light and only had 2 lenses to choose from?
Well, 35, definitely.
Do you even take 2?
There's been instances actually where I have decided only to take 2 lenses, and I ended up using just the 35 the entire time we've been somewhere.
Exactly, so you don't even need to.
No.
One's enough.
But if I had to, I would pick the 35 and the 50. Yeah. What would you pick?
Photo or video?
If you were doing photo.
Photo. 35, nothing else. Weight reduction. You want a 50, take 3 steps forward, back, forward.
Yeah, I guess.
Depends which way you look.
If you're shooting a wedding, when do you decide to use flash? Do you use flash at all? Yeah, so...
When it gets pitch black.
Pretty much. I pretty much only use flash right at the very end of the day, like during the reception. And mostly just to take dancing photos, like people on the dance floor. If I can get away with it, I like to shoot natural light during the reception as well. So people mingling, and during the speeches and the first dance, I like to try and use as much natural light as possible. But yeah, if it's too dark, then I'll use a flash. Strange lens flare is a reflection of the sensor. Different sensors cause different reflections. That's true. I thought it could have also been the adapter, the metabones. But yeah, it could also definitely be the sensor.
What's your favourite time to shoot?
Definitely afternoon. I've been planning my shoots a little bit earlier recently though, because it's so cold outside now. So summer, I always plan photo shoots for like the last 2 hours of the day, and in winter I just plan them for the middle of the day. How long have you been in photography? I think 10 years now actually. It's been a long time.
Oh, this one. Do you have multiple Lightroom catalogs, like a personal one and a professional one, or do you just have one for everything? Now, I don't get how anyone has one for everything.
Honestly, me neither.
That would be a million photos a year.
I feel like when
in a catalogue. So how does that work?
I don't know. What do you guys do? Do you have everything in one catalogue, or do you make separate ones for things? For me, I make a catalogue every single photo shoot that I have. So I'll only ever have one photo shoot at any given time in a catalogue. I feel like this helps keep Lightroom running a lot faster. So for a fashion shoot, it's not really that important because I'll have maybe like up to 100 photos maximum in a Lightroom catalogue. But when I'm editing a wedding, I'll have like 1,000, 1,500 photos in my catalogue, and I feel like Lightroom runs so slow at that number already. So if I were to add more,
like 100,000,
yeah, I feel like it just wouldn't go.
Like, what do you all do?
Yeah, what do you guys prefer doing?
So I've always been curious about that one.
Yeah, me too.
Because that question comes up a lot, but I just don't get how you can, like, what's the file management process in Lightroom for having everything in there? Like, we don't even select in Lightroom.
Yeah, we select in Photo Mechanic. It's so fast. The elusive Dan made an appearance. I know, finally. Besides portraits, what's another favorite category of yours? Probably, like, it's not really a category, but travel photography. So, like a little bit of landscape and a little bit of documenting strangers in the city I'm visiting, and a little bit of landscape portraiture, you know, when there's like someone little in the landscape. Does that have a name? I call it
what?
Landscape portraiture. It's like a little person in the landscape. Whereas your cat, she's sleeping. She had a lot of energy this morning.
Yeah, she did a few too many backflips one day.
She had the zooms. The news.
Do you have any tips for shooting portrait during winter in places like Nordics, Russia, etc., where there is no sun at all and the light is super soft and flat? Enjoy it. That is the dream.
Is it? I mean, yeah, the soft light is so nice. I remember the first time Dan and I visited Poland in, was it spring? Yeah, we went in like March. I was so mesmerized by the sun. It was like sunset lighting the entire day, from morning till night. There was no like harsh light or anything. And I was just dying. I was like, I wish we had this at home. It's so pretty.
Doesn't get better than that.
I feel like it makes sense to split up your personal work to your client work in different Lightroom catalogs. Yeah, that's all I had. It sounded like my sentence was going somewhere, but what photographer or photographer's work inspires you the most? Are there any? I really love the work of Tim Walker. I've got like this giant book full of his photos. He was one of the photographers that first inspired me to get into photography. I said this on my last live stream as well, but yeah, you guys should definitely check him out if you haven't seen his work.
Hey, Alex. Benito.
Oh, Alex, hey. I haven't seen you in ages. What's your next travel destination? I think Tasmania.
I think it's Tassie again.
Yeah, Tasmania, and then Scotland after that. Scotland. Sorry if you can hear my keyboard. I'm trying to find like a flat spot for it so it doesn't make noise.
What's your worst nightmare when shooting portraits?
Like model portraits? I feel like my worst nightmare, like something that I don't want to happen, because I like to keep my photo shoots as simple as possible, as I said. So I started doing like no makeup. I asked the model to bring 1 or 2 outfits to shoot with, and then I bring 1 or 2 outfits as well, so we have like some things to choose from. My biggest fear, which is so dumb, I'm so scared that like none of the clothes I bring will fit or look good, and then we'll have like nothing to shoot with. It's kind of dumb, but that's my biggest fear. If you had to choose only one preset you've made to use, which would it be? Probably Amalfi. I've made it like a year ago now, I think, and I'm still obsessed with it. If I don't know what to edit a photo shoot with, I'll edit it with Amalfi because it just looks so nice. I really like the desaturated kind of brown tones. I feel like I'm happy with this editing. I kind of want to go for something a little bit like brown, warmish. It's getting there.
That's good.
How did we meet, Dan?
How did we meet? Long time ago.
About as long as when I started my photography.
At the same time?
Yeah, I think about the same time. Yeah, because we've been together for like 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
But we met while we were in high school. And then because you were in the grade above me. So then when we finished high school, we started dating.
Do you take a tripod when you travel?
Dan does. What tripod do you take?
Whatever Jules needs. No, I use Benro tripods. And then Jules doesn't have to. Because they're always available. And you don't have to count it in your weight, in your luggage.
Oh yeah, Dan's luggage is a nightmare when we travel.
My luggage is just tripods.
It's an actual nightmare.
But yeah, Benro's, I think S4 and S6 heads, fluid heads, and sticks, I can't remember which ones. Some aluminium ones, some carbon ones. What SD cards do you recommend for a wedding? Shoot with a D750. Notice sometimes my camera slows down after the 3rd or 4th photo. Wonder if it has anything to do with the SD.
It might be, depending on the speed of your SD card.
Yeah, it all depends on what SD card, like which SD cards it can take. So some cameras run on SD XC1, the other ones run on 2. I don't know my Nikons well enough to know. I can't remember which one a D750 is. But yeah, SD cards make a difference. Get the fastest you can afford. That's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Will you consider having photo shoots in low light? Looking forward to it.
I am.
Love you and your ex.
Thank you. I am. Yeah, I'm planning on doing a low light photo shoot camera comparison. So I'm going to be doing the Sony a7 III versus the Canon 5D Mark III. Because I don't have the Mark IV. That's what everyone was asking me in my poll.
But there's the thing. You upgrade one Mark III, and then the other ones feel like dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you've got a conundrum of
you need
three camera
all your
bodies.
cameras.
So
because that's what happened to me when I was using the Canon 5D Mark II. I was shooting a lot of weddings at that time, and the Mark III came out, so I needed to get it because I had the dual card slots, and the Mark II only had one. And I was like, yeah, I'll use the Mark III as my main body, and then I'll have the Mark II as my backup. As soon as I shot one wedding and edited the photos, I could not go back to using my Mark II.
Sad.
What was the question?
Can't remember. Nice tangent.
It was a bit of a tangent.
Where were we up to? I'm trying to go in order, otherwise I miss half the questions.
Yeah, if we missed your question, just please ask it again.
Yeah, just re-ask questions. Would you make a YouTube video shooting on film?
Yes, I would love to do that as well.
It's coming up. It's coming up soon, actually. Could you give us some tips to pose people who don't know anything about posing, and where do you get pose ideas from?
Mm-hmm. My first tip is that I ask the person who I'm taking photos of to do some like big movements. So I get them to walk around and swing their arms around and laugh, and I talk to them while I'm taking photos, just to like shake off any of that feeling that they need to be stiff while you're taking photos. Some people think that, because if you think about it, when you were like growing up, anytime your parents would take a photo of you, you'd like sit there and smile, and they'd, you know, take ages to take a photo of you. So some people might think that that's how photography works, when it really isn't. So yeah, the first thing I like to do with anyone is just get them to walk around, move as much as possible, laugh, just be themselves. And I feel like that kind of sets the tone for the rest of the photo shoot as well. So, yeah.
Is it possible to take only one battery pack when you travel?
Maybe on my Canon, yeah. What?
Really?
Yeah.
One whole day. Can you pull it?
I reckon I could. It might get a bit, like, intense towards the end of the day, but I think I could pull it off with one battery.
On a fresh new battery?
Yeah, on a new... Not my batteries. I need to buy a new one.
If you're in Canon, yeah. If you're in Nikon, yeah. If you're in Sony, no. No, one battery is not enough. And if you're shooting Sony video, double digits.
Well, how many batteries do you use? Okay, wait. Because Dan shoots a lot of video weddings, and he uses the Sony a7 Mark II to film. Tell them how many batteries you take with you, because it's crazy.
To a wedding?
Yeah.
Well, to keep 3 or 4 cameras running, it takes up to 38 batteries per day.
You should see him when he's charging everything up.
So, yeah. Sony, no. Canon, Nikon, yeah. You could probably get away with one battery per day.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you keep charging, because if you forget to charge it one night, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah, I feel like I would take minimum 2.
Yeah, 2 or 3. You at least that way can flip them out in the morning before you head out for the day.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, that was a tangent. Where are we?
Are you a night or day photo editing person? Definitely a day editing person.
Yeah, it treated as a 9 to 5.
Yeah. I used to be a nighttime editing person, but then I just ended up working from the moment I woke up to when I went to sleep, and I was like, this isn't healthy for me.
Nope.
Sorry, you're trying to go in order, and I just like pick a random question.
It's just really hard for me to read. Do you ever use polarizing filters?
No, I don't use any filters. I only use UV filters to protect my lenses, which they have. in the past.
Do you take photos on your phone?
Yes, all the time. I love phone photos. I feel like it's also a nice break from always using like big, chunky, heavy cameras. But especially when I'm traveling, I always take a camera photo and a phone photo. I have to have both. Is your new Amalfi preset the same like the old one? Yeah, there is no old or new one. The new refers to that it's a new preset available on my website. So yeah, it's the same thing. Are you planning on getting married? I feel like we are married at heart.
That sums it up.
What's your shoots to keeper ratio? On Canon, it's pretty good. I feel like I maybe take like 700 photos and I'll pick like 20 to edit during like one of these portrait photo shoots. On Sony, however, my finger slips a lot when I'm taking photos. Like the shutter is just so easy to press, so I take a lot of photos accidentally. So I'll probably take like maybe 1,000 photos instead of 700 on these on these portrait shoots. Weddings, I think it's a little better. I feel like it's like half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If your house is burning, which camera will you save? The Canon or the Sony?
My phone.
Neither. Hard drives. Don't care about cameras at that point.
Yeah, no, definitely the hard drives.
5D Mark III or A7 Mark III?
I feel like I can't really choose between the two cameras because they both have their pros and cons and things that they're good for and things that they're not good for. So it really depends like what you're doing. Because for me, shooting on the Sony recently has been so much fun because I've been using Canon for the past 10 years. So it's kind of like taking a holiday from my Canons and getting to play with something new. But I feel like there's a time and a place in the future where I would use my Canon and a place where I'd use the Sony for specific reasons. The main reason I got the Sony was to be able to shoot in low light, so during the receptions of weddings, stuff like speeches and mingling and stuff like that, where the Canon can get the shots in low light, but it struggles just a little bit, and I want the shots to be like a little bit cleaner and less noisy. Evie's asleep. Do you want to check the door? Maybe she's here.
Yeah. Yes, say bye.
Hi from Poland. I miss Poland so much. You're my lunch company. Yay! You didn't answer my first question. I was saying, how do you manage to edit a lot of pictures at once? Do you group them? So for a fashion shoot like this, I would pick maybe the best 10 photos out of this entire photo shoot.
There we go.
But something like a wedding, as I was explaining before, I'll edit like one photo in the set and then just sync all the settings, then go through one by one and make sure they look good. But yeah, that's how I edit lots of photos.
Just looking around inside the room.
Can we see her in the shop?
No, probably not. She's there.
Oh, you can see her ear! Evie, don't put your butt on the camera. The cat is so gorgeous. She is. She's really sleepy. And she wants to go. I had some issues with my Sony compared to my Canon in terms of skin tones. How do you handle it, and do I combine the cameras in one job? Yeah, so when I was doing the photo comparisons between the A7 II before and the Canon 5D Mark III, I took photos on both the cameras and delivered the final photos, which were mixed from both cameras, to the client. And you honestly couldn't really tell the pictures apart, even in the RAWs. I have a review video of the Sony A7 II where I shared the RAW files so you guys can see what they look like unedited and, compare the two. And yeah, so if you want to check that out, it's on my YouTube channel.
Okay.
But I might make a blog post as well because I feel like that's a lot easier to see and compare photos, and I'll upload the unedited images too. But otherwise, to handle it, I would probably use HSL and play around with the hue, saturation, and luminance. That's what HSL stands for.
What do we have to? What I mean?
I'm just picking random questions.
What's on the photos hanging in the background?
The Polaroids behind us, they're all from personal days out, so just selfies of me, Dan, and my friends, and our truck and Evie. The Polaroid wall over there, which you guys can't see, is all the Polaroids from our travels. I shared it once in my Instagram story. I need to do it more often because there's so many pretty pictures up there that I want to share.
It's time for edit. Evie, edit time.
What do you think about Sigma art lenses? Hey! I only have the Sigma 24mm 1.4, and it's a beautiful lens when it gets a sharp photo, but it tends to misfocus quite a lot. So after I had that experience with the 24, I kind of stopped wanting to get Sigma lenses. But now with my YouTube channel, I really want to borrow the Sigma 35mm and test it out and do some comparison videos.
Optically, they're great.
Yeah.
It's just the focusing issues.
Mm-hmm.
If you play around with them enough, calibrate it.
She's chewing
you can get it right. But if you want something out of the box, it just works. Cameras great, but
yeah. Oh, actually, if you guys want to see in a video and some photos, the first episode and the only episode of Photographers Take Photos of Each Other with Kiara Rose, that's on my channel. Kiara was shooting with the Sigma 35mm 1.4.
Yeah, and hers worked great.
Yeah, the photos looked amazing.
It's always in focus on point. So.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'll definitely get around to doing that soon.
What settings did you use to take this picture? That picture?
Yeah, the settings are up here on the screen, so you guys can take a peek.
No, they can't.
You can't? Because we're in the way.
Indeed we are. There we go.
Yay! There we go. Maybe we should leave it there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense now.
With the settings?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I like it. I feel like the shadows here are really green.
How do you know what settings to use in a shaded kind of lilac place?
I have a really simple way of shooting in manual where I leave my aperture at 1.2 or f2 or whatever I decide my aperture is going to be. Then I have my ISO set at 100, and then I just change the shutter speed until the photo is exposed correctly. For me personally, I like to underexpose slightly, so yeah, I just move my my shutter until it's exposed correctly. If you're shooting on Canon, sometimes it helps to just turn on the video mode to see what it looks like live, and then that way you don't have to take like a test shot and then look and then change it and then take a test shot again. So yeah, sometimes when I need to save time, I just turn on the live view mode.
Is there any alternative for photo editing app if you can't afford Lightroom? Visco?
Yeah.
Like phone editing?
Yeah, you can edit on Visco. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure Lightroom on mobile is free. Like, you need to make an account, but I'm pretty sure it's free. And it's got, like, everything that the desktop Lightroom has. Actually, while we were in Fiji, I was logged out of my Creative Cloud account, so I had to edit, like, all the photos that I wanted to post in Lightroom Mobile, and it was so good. Maybe I'll just use a gradient. Gradients fix everything. Actually, maybe it's better like that with just the pink.
Do you think the latest camera gears in photography make you more lazy, or do they make you more professional? Nowadays, new photographers worry more about their gear instead of working on their techniques. We use 5D Mark IIIs, which, from recollection, 6 years, I think. 6 years ago?
Yeah.
6-year-old cameras
Mm-hmm.
that we're not willing to put down.
Yeah.
If you got it and it works, and you don't have a reason to change, then you make use of what you have.
Mm-hmm.
We could get Mark IVs, but the Mark IIIs work, so I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like you could get kind of lazy. Like, for me, when I uploaded my first video with the A7 III, a few people were asking why I don't use the eye focus, like, all the time, permanently. And for me, I kind of feel like at that point, there's, like, nothing left for me to do as a photographer other than compose my shot and press the button. I kind of like having things to think about. It's why I like shooting in manual. It's kind of fun being able to change your settings and control what your photo looks like. And it's also fun for me to choose where my focus point is and just have control over the image. Could you please share your thought process for posing a camera awkward person and how to find a good angle for certain people? Thank you very much. Yeah, so as I mentioned before, I like to get people to do like big movements when we first start out in a photo session. And then after that, I like to kind of use my surroundings a little bit. So instead of just having a person like standing in the middle of nowhere, which can feel very awkward and vulnerable to them, I like to get my subjects to either lean against the wall or kind of stand in leaves of a tree so then they can like hold the leaves and stuff like that, or leaning on a tree, or I like to get them to sit down as well. And that kind of gives them something to do instead of just constantly thinking like, oh, where should I put my hands? What should I do with this? And then I also ask them to just move around a lot, like move their shoulders around. I ask them to like play with their hair and things like that. And then when I see them doing something that looks really good in front of the camera, then I'll ask them to do more of that. How to better shoot motion with Canon 5D Mark III, AI server, 1 point or more. I like to use one shot, continuous, and I choose my focus point. I feel like I've got like the most control over my camera that way, and instead of it trying to continuously find focus, I tell it when the focus is, and yeah, it just gets the shot a lot quicker for me. But I mean, everyone's different. There's a lot of people that like back button focusing, which doesn't really work for me, and there's people that like servo modes with focusing, and again, that doesn't work for me. So it's all about trying a bunch of different things and finding out what works better for you.
Mm.
Yep, 10 p.m. May I know how you can make a non-model have a natural smile rather than the stiff kind of smile?
Make them laugh.
Yeah, just talk to them, make them laugh. You don't have to say jokes, but like, just have like lighthearted conversation. And I feel like it just comes out naturally that way. It's Dan the Man. Where are we planning on traveling next? We are going to Tasmania next, I think. And then we also have Scotland in the landscape. Ever since watching your videos, my 35 has been my go-to for landscapes and portraits. I'm like slowly getting everyone to jump on the 35mm train.
What are you jumping on next?
35. Do you recommend making presets and then using them later when editing, or should I edit all my photos from scratch? I personally like using presets, but I've been editing photos for like a really long time. I feel like it's good to do a bit of both every now and then. So I guess like if you don't have a preset that suits the particular shoot that you're editing, then definitely edit from scratch and try and create something new. Or if you feel like you want to play around with colors and editing and stuff, like even now sometimes I'll like be working and all of a sudden I'll have an idea for how I want to edit a photo. So I'll open up Lightroom and I'll just edit something from scratch just to play around and see if I can create something new.
This shoot you're doing from scratch, no?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of reminding me of the old Mark II.
Yeah, it's got a Mark II vibe to it.
Average number of photos you take? You shoot?
I think 700 to 1,000. It's digital. I like taking a lot of photos. Why not?
Can you make a portrait photo shoot only using an iPhone?
Yes, I would love to do that so much. I have like so many ideas and things I want to do. I just need like time to do it. I feel like I can't get the tones right in this image. Oh, that's good. 1,000 what?
Huh?
I feel like as long as you understand that you just have to go through it later on and select the best photos, then I feel like I don't mind taking that many photos. Can you make how to remove lens flare video? Yes, I would love to do that. I actually had to do that with another set of photos I was editing, and As much as I love the new 35mm Mark II, that lens flare from it just kills me. It's like so defined and it always falls on the model's face or neck, so it's like really distracting in a portrait. And yeah, I've had to spend a lot of time editing out lens flares, so I'm getting really good at it at least. But yeah, I would love to make a video about that. Do you know Mango Street? You two are my faves. Ah, thank you. I love Mango Street's videos. They're really cool. I'm considering adding a Sony a7 III to my Canon setup after watching your videos. I have a 5D III, yes or no? Well, I guess it depends why you want to add the Sony a7 III. For me personally, I got it because I shoot quite a lot of weddings, and during the reception, I like to use as much natural light as possible for particular venues. We have like a lot of rustic venues here in Australia, so sometimes not using flash looks a lot better. But my Canons kind of struggle in low light, and I want my images from there to be a bit cleaner. So yeah, I decided to get the a7 III because of its low light capabilities. And also just to have something new to play with every once in a while for like little portrait sessions like this, and to have something lighter for when I'm traveling. How will it affect my workflow editing wedding photos in Photoshop only without Lightroom? I feel like editing in Photoshop actually takes a lot more time compared to Lightroom. In Photoshop, you kind of have to open up like a batch of images at a time, and even though you have actions and stuff like that, I feel like it's not as easily tweakable as it is in Lightroom. So for example, like we're editing this photo at the moment, but I can really easily go back and change the exposure in this other photo that we were editing if I'm not happy with it later. Whereas in Photoshop, you can't really do that unless you leave your files open or all your layers intact. But yeah, I feel like Lightroom is like a must when editing wedding photos. I feel like it just makes life a little bit easier, and it makes getting through like hundreds of photos a lot faster as well. But I mean, if you like editing in Photoshop, then you should definitely continue.
How's it going?
Cool. Did Evie go back to bed?
Yeah. Been sleeping all day.
She has.
I have a crop sensor and I have a 50 1.8 for portraits. My question to you is, should I invest in a 50 1.4 or an 85 1.8 for photography portraits?
Again, it depends on what kind of portraits that you want to take. On a crop sensor?
So on a Canon 50 is going to be a...
Yeah, the 50 will
85.
look more like an 85, and the 85 will look more like a...
135.
Or 100 mil, am I correct?
No, more.
More?
Canon crop 1.6.
Right. Yeah, it'll look more like a 135. For me personally, I like to be wider rather than closer, so for me, I would go for a 50, so it would look more like an 85. You guys really, in the comments of my YouTube videos, really want me to do a photo shoot with the Canon 135mm f2, and I'm terrified. I will do it eventually, I just need to build up the courage to like go and do a photo shoot on something so telephoto. I'm scared. Do you edit only in Lightroom sometimes? Yeah, for my weddings, I pretty much only edit in Lightroom. For my fashion shoots like this, I'll edit the colors in Lightroom, and then I'll do a little bit of retouching in Photoshop. But I don't really edit any colors anymore in Photoshop. I used to quite a lot.
Any chance you're going to take night photography? We do, all the time, we just don't post it.
Yeah, maybe we should stop posting it.
Maybe.
I feel like maybe next time we travel, that can be another one of our like travel vlog / tutorial things. It can be like a nighttime photography one.
Yeah.
We can do like star photography and portraits at night photos. We'll work on it.
We should all have the landscapes at night.
Yeah.
And do something with that.
Yeah. I feel like it's actually like my favorite thing. Taking photos sometimes is a good excuse to just linger in a place for a little bit longer. So there's this wedding venue that Dan and I shoot at every once in a while that's pretty far away and away from just everything. It's surrounded by mountains, so the stars there are always incredible. And I feel like without a camera, like we'd go there, take a look, and then go back and go home because it's freezing. But because we've got our cameras and we like taking star photos, it gives us a chance to just hang out for like half an hour and just admire nature.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recommend creating a separate photography Instagram aside from a personal account, or should they be the same?
Depends what you do.
Yeah, I guess it depends what you do. I kind of like mine to be separate. It's like I have an account for my photography, which is under my name, and then I've got a personal account where I upload all my iPhone photos. But then on my main account, I also post like behind the scene iPhone photos anyway. So I guess it could be connected, like in the one account. I guess it just depends. But yeah, I personally like having them separated. I feel like sometimes I have like there's too much pressure to post something good on my main account, so it's nice to be able to just post an iPhone photo on my personal account. Thanks for keeping me busy while I mark my students' papers. You're welcome. Oh yeah, so I was going to make a page on my website to put all the live streams, but I think I'm just going to leave them up on YouTube so you guys can watch them whenever you feel like. Can you make a video about tone curve, struggling with the RGB curve? Yes, I would love to do that. I feel like the Lightroom tone curve is like so finicky compared to the Photoshop one. But it's definitely such a handy tool. What age did you start photography? I'm pretty sure I was 17. Yeah, I was in like my second last year of high school when I started. I still have all my old work up on my DeviantArt account from back in the day.
How does the Lightroom file system work? Like how does it save organize the photos?
I believe it saves like a virtual copy of your raw file, so it doesn't actually affect the original file.
It's just still cache.
Yeah, it's cache. Cold hard cache. Julia, what settings should I use to get the best dynamic range in my photos? Should I underexpose? Yeah, I think it depends on the lighting situation, but for the most part, I feel like underexposing works really well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it kind of, you're able to save like more of the background, especially if you shoot backlit the way I do. I like to underexpose my portraits quite a lot and then just bring the shadows back up when I'm editing.
Depends on the camera a little bit.
Yeah, it also
how much you can underexpose.
Yeah, it's a good idea to like kind of experiment before you underexpose at a like proper photo shoot, just to make sure you've got that dynamic range in your camera. And
yeah,
then
you
I feel
still
like
recover the shadows.
Yeah, and I feel like over time you'll like learn what your camera's capable of. Any way to get presets to work on Lightroom Mobile? I think if you're like signed into the same account on Creative Cloud as you are Lightroom Mobile, you can sync your presets automatically. Otherwise, you can export a raw photo that has the preset applied to it, export it as a DMG, and then upload it to Dropbox, save it onto your phone, import to Lightroom, and then you can copy the settings from that photo and paste them onto all your other photos that you want to edit with that.
Is water wet?
Yeah.
I think that depends on which.
I mean, if it's in cube form, it's sticky. It's Dan or you editing YouTube videos.
No one will ever know.
No, Dan films them all and I edit them.
Yeah.
Good team.
What else do we have?
I feel the pressure as well and haven't posted because of that on Instagram in a long time. Now I have to start brainstorming for a name, the hardest part. Yeah, naming my photo shoots and writing captions on Instagram is like the worst part for me. I post them to Instagram like twice a week. Maybe I should post more often.
Maybe you should post less like me.
Dan posts once a year on Instagram.
I'm trying to work out what the bare minimum is. I'm going for once a year right now. Let's see if I can pull off once every 2 years.
Do you guys like the new IGTV thing? What are your thoughts?
What do you think about it?
I don't know. I'd rather put my effort into making YouTube videos. It's like, what if it disappears one day? The IGTV thing.
Well, the whole vertical thing is the problem.
Yeah, the vertical kind of, it's weird.
Try watching vertical for 40 minutes. You're going to get tired. It's tiring in the eyes.
Is it tiring?
We're not designed to watch something like this.
Oh,
like,
can you show them Philip Bloom's photo? That cracked me up so much. How do I find myself a Dan and Julia relationship? You guys are a dream. Thank you.
This one?
Yes. Share.
I don't know if that's gonna...
No. I don't know why it just got me good.
I think that's in.
Yeah, hopefully we're back to focus. Let us know if, like, we're
Let us know if we're blurry.
You guys work so great together. When did you decide to create a wedding photography business? When was it? It was a lot of years ago now.
Shit. Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
7 years ago?
Yeah, I think like 7 years ago. It was a few years after Dan started doing video. And I had started doing a lot more wedding photography at that time, and then we kind of thought that there wasn't many people offering wedding videography back when we first started, so we were like, there's this gap in the market, let's fill it. So we started offering like photo video packages for weddings.
And there was no one doing our style.
Yeah. Now it's like super popular. But yeah, back then there was maybe like 2 other companies that had like similar style videos, like natural and pretty. Maybe I'll change the photo because it's been on this one for 10 years. Maybe some of these backlit ones. See, this is when I had like the most trouble getting the 50 autofocus. It's like not happening.
Lines.
Yeah, there's also these like really fine lines where the sun's really harsh. It's really weird. I need to look into that more.
Zoom in a bit.
That's zoomed in, 100%.
Oh, come on, gotta be more.
Oh, this eye is in focus in this one. I feel like this is the best one. How do you choose photos to edit from all the photos you took in a photo shoot? I usually just edit almost all of them because I can't decide. That's actually something that I noticed with the submissions to my critique video that you guys sent me. Quite a few photos that were all kind of similar to each other, to the people that sent like numerous photos. So for me, I kind of look at my photos in groups. So I like to open it up in grid mode because you can see everything a lot better. And then, for example, my computer's lagging a lot. Okay, so for example, all these photos here, they're all like super similar. So I would probably just try and pick one out of all of them because there's no point in editing, you know, the 5 photos.
You gotta just work out which one's the best.
Yeah.
And go with it.
So then I kind of go through like process of elimination. So I go like each photo one by one, like the set of 5 that all look the same, and put a 0 star to the one that doesn't like kind of pop at me. The more you look at a photo and the more you go from one to another, the more you start noticing little things like maybe a slight lack of emotion in one photo compared to another, or maybe the lighting was just slightly better in one photo compared to another. Yeah, so that's how I pick. Process of elimination. And also I ask other people a lot as well, especially Dan, because he's always sitting next to me. I'm like, this one or this one?
That's the thing. You shoot 700 pictures, you kill it down to 70, and then you kill it down to 7.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all you need.
I mean, even I have trouble sometimes, though. I do edit a lot more than I should sometimes, I think. But you got to try your best to cull that stuff down.
How do you select a bunch of photos and put the same preset on it? Command.
Yeah, so you select the photo with the preset, and then you can either command click different ones and then press sync, or you can click on the photo that's edited and then hold down shift and click on the last photo, and then all the ones that are selected will be edited. So you just press sync, and then you make sure that all these little things are ticked. I like to keep local adjustments off because that's stuff like the brush tool, which is really specific to particular images. I also keep crop, transform, and spot removal off, but everything else is on. And then you just press sync, and then they're all edited.
And they're all synced.
In sync.
What tweaks would you recommend for soft, bright, and colourful photo edit? I've managed to do it twice after hours of trying, but other than that, they always look too bold if I make the colours pop.
When I want like a vibrant photo, this is like a weird thing that I like to do. I like to push the vibrance like way up, and then I like to bring the saturation down. Does that make sense? And I feel like this especially works the best if you're shooting in like a natural location with some greens, because the vibrance will make all the greens and yellows and like those kind of warm colors really pop, and then bringing the saturation down will help tone down like the model's skin tone, because bringing it up will make her look really kind of orange. And yeah, I really like doing that to kind of make the image pop a little bit more. And then you could also play around with the calibration and bring up the saturations for each of these sliders too. But yeah, I feel like everything kind of works good in moderation. I definitely do it too, where you like just go overboard really quickly when editing in Lightroom.
How can one get detailing on the sky if the sky is slightly overexposed? Shot in raw. Well, it depends how overexposed the sky is.
Yeah, because sometimes you could bring down, the highlights and that will bring the sky back, or you can go to luminance and bring down the aquas and blues and that would bring it back as well. But yeah, it depends how overexposed it is. Where to send critique photos. I'll pop up the email so you guys can send it if you want. Yeah, the email's just at the bottom of the screen if you want to send in your photos for the next critique video. I'm so excited to film another one. I'm really glad you guys liked the first one.
Do you apply a preset and edit after, or edit things before, like exposure, shadows, highlights, etc.? Before applying the preset?
I apply a preset first, then edit all these little things. Because otherwise, depending how the preset was saved, it could just overwrite everything that you already edited, so it's better to do it afterwards.
How do you deal with saving highlights in camera?
I underexpose a little bit. Yeah, I always underexpose a little bit. I lost my mouse. There it is.
How do you guys get such similar looks in your videos and pictures? Do you use lips or just sit beside each other? Well, we've been working together for a very long time. So we know what we want.
Yeah, I think it all just comes down to the fact that we've been doing this for a long time. So we've spent lots of hours like editing side by side and like critiquing each other's work and how we can improve and stuff like that. And yeah, I feel like just we've been together for a really long time as well, so I feel like we're just very similar people. By this time, we're pretty much just one person.
Yeah. And if you want it to look identically the same, then I hand over all the work to Jules.
I don't want more work to do.
Favorite spots ever shot? Oh, that question.
That's a hard one.
Favorite spot ever shot?
Okay, because it was like very different for me and just a very exciting time. I think my favorite was doing photo shoots in Poznan in Poland. Like getting to shoot in the old city because we had nothing like that here in Australia. It's such a different scene for us.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was one of my favorite photo shoots. We did 5 photo shoots, so all of them. Easiest way of retouching skin in Lightroom. I personally don't really like retouching skin in Lightroom, mostly because there isn't really an easy way, I don't think. You've got this tool, what's it called?
Spot, yeah.
Hover over it. Spot removal. But you kind of have to like make it really small and then it's kind of not detailed enough. So I definitely like retouching. Yeah, it can get really splotchy. It's not the smartest tool in the shed. It's not the smartest tool in Lightroom. But I feel like retouching in Photoshop isn't that hard, especially with frequency separation. You don't have to be so, like, perfect with the retouching.
Do you think I should buy a good lens for a Canon T3i 600D or upgrade to a Sony A7R Mark II? Which one's a 600D?
I'm not sure.
Well, it's not full frame. I guess that depends if you want full frame or not.
Yeah, and also what lens you have at the moment as well. Because, like, I feel like if you get a prime lens, it makes a very, very big difference to your photos, especially if you currently have a kit lens. Like, you'll definitely see an improvement in your photos. But if you don't know, sometimes I like to go into camera stores and ask if I can try out the lenses on the camera body that I have. Like, I'll either take my camera with me or I'll just ask them to put it on the camera body that they have of mine in the store and, like, have a play and see what it looks like.
It's the easiest way to know if you like something or not.
And if you're, like, really, really indecisive, I would also borrow it. I remember when I was thinking about getting the 85mm 1.2. I borrowed it for the weekend and I went out and took photos of everything. I took photos like in the house of my cat, down the street. I went out with my friends. We went on like a road trip and I just took so many photos to see if I would like them. And then I spent the week kind of looking at the raw files and seeing if I liked it, and I ended up getting the lens because it was great. Any good free Lightroom presets? I have free Lightroom presets. I have 3 of them on my website. Do you like the little banners I made, by the way? I feel very professional. But yeah, if you go to that website, digitalfilmactions.com, and go to the Lightroom presets menu and click on that, and just hover over each of the thumbnails and it will tell you which ones are free. What 50mm lens do you have? I have the 1.2 and I have the 1.4 as well. The 1.4 was actually the first prime lens that I ever got for my first professional camera. I used it, that was the only lens I used for like a whole year. I did like weddings on it, fashion shoots, client shoots, I did everything on that 50mm.
When I think of that 50, the only thing I can think of is...
Oh yeah. It's got like a lot of sand, dirt, sweat, there's like everything in
it. Every time it's moving.
I shoot in RAW because there is a lot more information in the file. So if I accidentally over or underexpose a photo, I can save that photo in Lightroom rather than if I shoot in JPEG, then I possibly like lost that shot. That noise. Is that your boyfriend? Are you my boyfriend?
No.
Yeah, he's my boyfriend. Dan films all the videos that you guys watch on YouTube, by the way. And he also like has his own work too. You guys should check him out. Look, I made banners for everything. Shouldn't. No, you should. And that's our wedding website as well, down below. You can watch all our wedding videos and see all the wedding photos that we take. I would love, would you guys like me to edit a wedding on a live stream one day? Because I feel like that would be so much fun. Because there's like so many different editing techniques that you use for a wedding.
That also keep us glued to our seats.
It would, and I would like finish the wedding. Do you ever do some brand work or just wedding fashion, and how does one go about pitching to a brand? Yeah, I used to do a lot of fashion work, like for brands and companies and stuff like that. But at the moment I'm focusing more on weddings and YouTube stuff. What time is it there? It's currently 10:30 p.m. Yes to live stream wedding edit. Okay, I'm gonna do it.
It's gonna be a whole day live stream.
Yeah, do you guys want to do like a 24-hour wedding editing? I won't be able to talk for like a week.
We'll start it from the morning from coffee 1. 9 a.m. 9:01 on the dot. Live stream all day long.
We could edit 2 weddings with a 24-hour live stream. I'm not doing that.
8 hours. Workouts, come on.
That's a question for you. Question for Dan from another guy. Do you feel like you need to dress up in a suit and stuff for weddings you work on?
I wear a suit jacket.
Mm-hmm.
I don't wear suit pants, for that matter. How do I answer that?
What do you dress? How do you dress? What do you dress? What kind of question is that?
Black skinnies, boots, collared shirt, tie. Unless it's summer.
Summer weddings in Australia.
No, actually, no. I shot all of this year's summer weddings still in a collared shirt and a tie.
Yeah, you did actually.
Yeah. Yeah, I think black jeans and nice pair of boots.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you need. None of that polo shirts with brand companies on the back of them. Oh my god. That stuff needs to go. It's not the 90s.
I feel like you can at least print it on a different style of shirt.
Yeah. Likely I haven't seen that in a couple of years. So.
Alright, everyone wants the 24-hour live stream. We've got to do it. I don't even want to know how much coffee I would consume if we did that. That would be scary.
We'll move the kettle in here, right?
Yes.
I think we might have a few watts of power left in this office to run a kettle in here. Actually, back to that question about dressing for a wedding.
Mm-hmm.
The easiest way to sort of nail that is dress like a guest.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, not completely, not formal, not like a groomsman or something,
mm-hmm.
but like just like a typical, in your age bracket guest.
Mm-hmm.
That's, unless you've got your own style.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know how it is around the world or for other people, but because of Dan and I's style and the market that we market ourselves to, I feel like we get a lot of more laid-back weddings. So they're formal, but they're not like black tie formal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're more like laid-back. So people are dressed like hipsterish in a way.
Pretty much.
What the hell? Siri just turned on. I said hipster. That's weird.
Siri's paying attention. Would you ever come to Brisbane? I've been to Brisbane a bunch of times.
Mm-hmm. I think we're going there soon.
Actually, yeah, we are.
Mm-hmm. More towards the end of the year.
More after winter.
Yeah, after winter.
Nothing gets done during winter.
Do you plan on coming to Croatia? Yes, I would love to go to Croatia.
It's been on the list for a while.
Maybe next year when we go to Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
That would be nice. Take me to Croatia.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
We'll probably squeeze it in. That's like good job in Croatia.
Have you guys been watching the FIFA? I don't know if you know, but I'm Argentinian. Like, my parents were born in Argentina. And they were just, I don't know what's happened to them. Hey, can we have an Insta-meet? Yes! I'm going to start doing Insta-meets every time I travel somewhere from now on. I just get, really nervous, but I feel like once I meet you and, say hello to everyone, it's, all good. It's just, the nerves from beforehand.
How many crew you take for a 1 full day wedding? If it's just photo, it's just one. If it's video, it's just one. If it's photo and video, it's the 2 of us, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
We're not huge on the assistance thing.
Mm-mm. We are lone wolves together.
don't notice a lens hood in the direct sunlight shoots. What advantage or why don't you use them?
I like getting lens flares. I just sounded American. Lens flares in my shots.
I'm gonna explain one thing about lens flares.
What?
So if you're, we actually have a lens hood laying around, right?
We
have a lens hood laying around. If you're shooting, and say you're the sun, right? You guys are the sun right now, and you're shooting into this, like that picture there, right?
It doesn't really.
A lens hood would do absolutely nothing.
It's good when you're shooting, for
side
example,
on?
Where is it side on? I guess these ones are kind of side on. But see, okay, for instance, here the tree is kind of acting as my lens hood. Because the sun is behind the tree, so she's backlit, but I'm in the shade taking photos of her.
Yes, in that case, you've used the tree as the lens hood.
Okay, this is more like side shot.
But you're still not in the sun. You're in dappled light.
Okay, this one.
See, there it would work. Yeah, so
yeah, so
that
if
lens
I
flare
had a lens hood here, I wouldn't have that lens flare.
Yeah.
But in saying that, like, I don't like this lens flare, but this was the first time I was shooting so backlit with the Sony, so I did want to see what it looked like. I would probably use a lens hood next time, to be honest.
Bum, bum, bum.
But yeah, on the Canon, I normally love what the lens flares look like, so I don't use a lens hood.
On the original 35 Mark 1.
Yeah, the 35 Mark 1 doesn't lens flare at all. The 35 Mark 2 lens flares like crazy, and the lens hood does nothing. It's really frustrating, actually. I knew you were Argentinian. Do you only take pictures of girls? No, I take pictures of boys as well.
I'm a boy.
Yeah, I always take pictures of you.
I'm a boy.
I used to take photos with male models a lot more often before I started a YouTube channel. So currently I only have one male model photo shoot behind the scenes video. That's a mouthful on my YouTube. Hi, Lena.
How do you store your photos and which hard drives do you use? To sum that up very simply, WD Reds. Otherwise we'll be here for hours.
Yeah, we've got a lot of different hard drive systems. We've got a Synology NAS as well because Dan and I work together so much. We constantly have to use like each other's files. So we found that the NAS was a really good way for us to easily be able to send files across to each other.
Yeah, so we've got two NASs running, then we've got external hard drives, and then we've got portable hard drives. And pretty much everything is Western Digital red drives. So I think we're currently filling the NASs with 10 terabyte drives. So I think the current NAS is 40 terabytes.
Mm-hmm.
A quick and easy way to share footage between a bunch of computers. Jules edits. She's got both her laptop and an iMac. I've got a laptop and the big rig, another computer. So it's a quick and easy way to have 4 or 5 computers hooking up to one place. You can edit straight off it with no latency, no issues.
Mm-hmm. That's good. My dad is in the live chat. Hi, Dad. Do you ever shoot B-roll? Well, you're the cameraman, so do you ever shoot B-roll? Well, I feel like a whole video is kind of B-roll.
I shoot C-roll.
C-roll. Why aren't you giving me the A roll?
Ain't no time for A-roll.
What am I talking about?
What's going on?
You know, do you ever shoot? Yeah, when we're traveling, I feel like you shoot a lot of B-roll.
I used to. I used to shoot only B-roll. My life consisted of B-roll.
Yeah, Dan has a Vimeo channel. You guys should check out all his like cinematic films. I really like them. And I feel like you should still do them. Silence. That was awkward.
In due time.
Did you to come up with your pricing list? Where did you start? Yeah, it did. It took me years, I think, to put together my pricing list. It kind of started for me at first, like with the fashion stuff personally, was I was doing a lot of free photo shoots just to build up my portfolio because it was fun, because I wanted to connect with new people in the industry, and I wanted to, just take photos for my portfolio. So I was doing a lot of free stuff, and then eventually I had a lot of like clothing brands and stuff get in contact with me asking for me to take photos of their stuff. And I did like a couple for free, and then I was like, what am I doing? I should definitely get paid for this because it's work. So I started off by charging very little just to like test the waters, and then eventually kind of put my prices up until I was like happy with what I was earning. So yeah, it was definitely like a long, what's the word?
Process?
Mm-hmm. It was a long process of getting to where we are now. Have you guys tried street photography? Yes, I love doing street photography when I'm traveling. I feel like it's really fun, and I feel like people are different like everywhere in the world, so I kind of find it interesting to capture that.
It's a lot of material.
Yeah. What's the next lens to get after 50mm 1.8 low budget? You should look into getting a 35mm and jumping on my 35mm train. No, but seriously, the 35 is an amazing lens. You should at least borrow it to test it out. But they've got the Sigma Art 35, which I haven't tried, but a lot of people use. And then there's also the 35 1.8 by Canon, which is cheaper than the 1.4.
And there's the 35 1.4 Mark 1 used that there will be plenty of photographers getting rid of.
Oh, that's so true. I'm going to get mine repaired and continue using
No.
it. No, just the AF/MF button.
Oh yeah, that would come in handy.
Mm.
Yeah.
But I'll keep the Against Me band on it.
That button does come in handy sometimes.
It does. Will you make a video on how to pose non-models? Yes, I'm working on it. I want to get my sister to be the model for the shoot, and she hasn't been in a video for a while. So it's time for her to be on the channel again. Do you think you'll host a photo walk in the near future? Yeah, that would be really fun. I've never done that before, so I don't know what it would entail. But yeah, I would love to do that. Maybe when I travel, because I want to start doing more meetups, we can do a photo walk at the same time. Have a photo shoot for your cat. We do that pretty much every single day, actually. I have so many photos of her on my phone.
Did I do something about Evie?
Yes, we have to do a photo shoot of her.
We take photos of her every day.
That's what I said. It's like my whole camera roll is just Evie.
Same.
Yeah. Just anything she does, it's like, oh, that's so cute. Is she still sleeping?
Yeah, she went back to bed. She don't be up at 3 in the morning. Yep.
When are you going to do your next photo critiques? I think I'm going to record another part towards the end of this week, and then it'll go up next Saturday, and then I'll record another part next week, which will go up like a week later. But you guys really loved it, and you sent me like so many photos, so I want to be able to include as many of them as possible, so I'll do the critique videos for as long as you guys watch them, so...
There's a lot of photos.
Yeah, heaps.
all 35mm lenses should sponsor Julia and Dan. Their sales are going to skyrocket.
Yes, please send us all the 35mm. I want to use and like test all of them and compare them all. I feel like that would be so fun. Imagine if we do like one photo shoot using every single 35mm lens that exists. The model would be like so sick of me changing my lens every 2 seconds.
Well, we can probably hire every 35 except for the Sony 35 1.4, which no one in Sydney is hiring. No one has it for hire.
Oh, Sony 35.
Yeah, so the Sony 35 1.4, nowhere that I can find in Sydney has it for hire.
Mm-hmm.
Samyang's 35 1.4, no one will have for hire, but that's pretty cheap. That's another option. Everyone's always talking about Sigma's 35 1.4, but Samyang actually have the 35 1.4 autofocus for Sony F-EMA.
Is it expensive?
It's like less than $1,000. Cheaper than Sigma's. And I've tested it, and it got a good image.
Mm-hmm.
So there's also that, the Sony shooters, which isn't native, but is native technically.
Yeah. I really want to try a native lens for Sony.
Well, we've got like the native 28.
Yeah, we do. I use the Sony A7 III for these photos. Matte for blacks.
You should do a video where you and Dan pose and take pictures of each other. Now, the only problem with that...
What? Oh, who's going to film it? I was like, what's the problem? I'm going to do that.
We take photos of each other all the time. We just don't typically have someone there to film it for us.
But, I reckon that would be really fun to make a video out of it.
Yeah.
We'll just have to set up like 3 different tripods. So we have angles. How about a few tips for where to start when learning Lightroom? I feel like you should watch as many tutorials on Lightroom as you can that are on YouTube. I feel like that's a really great way to start familiarizing yourself with it and kind of absorbing all the information and things that Lightroom has to offer. And then the best thing you can do is literally start playing around with Lightroom. Even if your edit doesn't look amazing, at least move the sliders around and see what they do and just experiment with different things and see how it affects the photo. And then if you want to do like your first proper edit, then I would recommend to start really small. Think about things like the white balance and maybe fixing up the exposure and little things like that. And you know, once you get the hang of like the easy things, then you can start adding in other things to your process as well until you kind of have learned how to do everything.
Instagram or Snapchat?
Instagram.
Marvel or DC?
Neither.
Yanni or Yanni?
Laurel.
Would like to see Evie on live stream.
She's asleep. She won't stop sleeping. It's weird because she's normally up at this time.
When travelling or enjoying moments with people you love, how do you balance being the photographer and being part of the journey? That is a fine line.
Yeah, I think it's something I'm still learning, personally. I find it really hard, I don't know, I feel like I'm always working in one way or another, whether it's thinking about stuff that I have to do or taking photos and things like that. So it's something that I'm still learning how to get better at, is finding that balance, especially when I'm traveling. In saying that, I feel like we have gotten a bit better at the balance thing. And we try to kind of plan things to take photos of, and then we also plan things for just ourselves to do where we don't really take the camera.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would take photos of my iPhone, but at least that's a 2-second thing. It's not too bad. Right?
Yeah.
Yay, I'm editing in Lightroom with your presets right now. That's cool.
Do you ever use reflectors, lights when shooting outdoor?
I personally don't like to use anything. I like it when it's just like me and the model and there's like nothing else to really think about. In saying that, sometimes a reflector does come in handy every now and then, but I prefer to take a reflector with me when I'm doing a client photo shoot where there's a lot more people on the team. So yeah, like on a day like this where it was just me, this model, and Dan filming, I kind of like just, you know, taking photos and making the available light work for what we're doing.
And you make the location work. Use what you've got around you.
Yeah. Whereas if you're shooting with a client, sometimes you'll be on location and they're like, oh, I really want to shoot against this wall. And you look at the wall and the lighting's atrocious. So if you've got like a reflector or something to help you out, then it's a really good situation. Plus, there's a lot of people around at a client shoot like that. There's like makeup artists standing around and stylists and assistants and stuff like that. So there's always someone that you can ask to hold the reflector as well.
Or you have an assistant with you.
Yeah, or you have an assistant. Do you find wedding photography stressful? Personally, I don't. I feel like I did when I first started, but I've been doing wedding photography for maybe like 6-7 years now. So I kind of...
For longer, because you were doing it before me.
Yeah, it was actually maybe 8 years. I think like 8. Yeah, so I've kind of learnt how the day works. I know what I need to do. I know what camera gear I need to use. Yeah, it's all kind of become like second nature. So I focus more on being creative on the day and making connections with my couple and the people that are there so I get better photos rather than stressing about it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
What aperture is your standard for portrait and group photos? For portrait shoots, I like to shoot at 1.2 if it's a personal, fun, like portrait shoot. If it's a client shoot where I need to, like I'm shooting for a clothing brand where the clothes need to be in focus, I shoot at like 2 or 2.2. And if we're at a wedding and we're doing like the family group photos, I like to bump it up to 2.8.
Does the 35 take good landscapes?
Yeah, I reckon it does. I feel like it takes good everything. There's nothing I can think of 35mm can't do.
It's the everything lens.
I even get macro ring shots with the 35mm lens for a wedding. I crop it in a little bit, but...
It's pretty much macro.
Julia, you finished Legend of Zelda? Not yet. I've been putting it off because I don't want to finish. So I feel like I did all 4 dungeons and now I've been running around trying to find the rest of the shrines and the Korok seeds. Eventually I'll go to the castle, but I don't want the game to end. It was so good.
Do you ever use ND photos for shooting portraits? Maybe on the beach in Burtson or something?
I did once. When I was doing a client shoot in the middle of the day at the sand dunes, so it was extremely bright, and I used an ND photo one time. But yeah, I don't know, I'd like to get into that a little bit more because I feel like the photos that I got that day looked really interesting, and I would love to make a video about that and show you guys kind of what a photo would look like with an ND photo and what it looked like without, because it definitely looks different. I feel like you get slightly more dynamic range, like everything's a little bit flatter in terms of light.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, Jules never uses ND photos, I only shoot with ND photos.
Mm-hmm.
Is there ever a situation where you do skin retouching first, or do you primarily start your process with presets in Lightroom?
I like to start with my presets in Lightroom because they are raw photos. Yeah, so back in the day you couldn't save an edited file that you've retouched in Photoshop as a raw again. So I've kind of gotten into the habit of just doing it that way, and that's just my workflow now. What lenses do you recommend for us beginners? I feel like a 50mm lens is really good because it's such a good all-rounder lens. You can do so much with it. You can get like amazing portraits, you can get landscape photos, you can do pretty much anything with a 50mm. And there's also like so many cheap versions of it. You can get the Canon 50mm 1.8, which is like $200 or less maybe.
I think there are even copies of the Canon 50 1.8.
Yeah,
that are like $60 or something.
Yeah, and then there's like the 51.4.
Yeah. And then like every brand, every company, every lens manufacturer and every camera brand make a 50, 1.4, 1.8. You know, there's so many.
Yeah, the 50mm 1.4 was my first lens when I first got a DSLR. No, when I got my first full-frame DSLR. And that was the only lens that I had, and I used it for everything for like a year. So yeah, I feel like it's a very good all-rounder. Any tips on editing skin tones in Lightroom? For me, when I'm editing, while I look at the overall image to try and get like the colors to look interesting, my main priority is to not mess with what the skin tone looks like. So I always kind of do like an extreme edit, and then I'm like, yeah, I like those colors, and then I always pull it back just to bring it back to looking more natural. I feel like also the saturation slider is a really good tool to have to help with skin tones. I always like to bring saturation down just a little bit, and the same with the orange slider. You can bring the orange saturation down, and you bring the orange luminance up just to make your model stand out of the photo a little bit more. Greetings from Mexico, Miami. Do you ever use VSCO presets in Lightroom? I have them, but I feel like they don't suit any of my photos. I'm not trying to like shade or anything, they just don't work for my images.
Well, it's film emulation.
Yeah, I feel like it's either way too subtle or way too harsh. Like there's no in between. What are your thoughts on the 50mm 1.8? I haven't used that lens before, but I'd love to try it out. I only have the 1.4 and the 1.2.
I need to get my hands on the 51.8 so we can do that one. Do a shootout, 51.8 versus 1.4 versus 1.2.
Yeah.
And see which one wins. Howdy to you too. Someone from Texas.
Oh, cool. Texas.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah, thank you. How many plan to combine your presets and make a bundle sale? I've got permanent discount codes on my Lightroom preset website. I find that's like, I guess the fairest way to have sales. So I've put them all down below if you guys want to check them out. And that way, instead of having to buy like all the presets on my website, you can just choose which ones you want to use the code on. I get the feeling Julia doesn't use a 1.8 anymore. Sometimes my finger slips while I'm shooting and the aperture accidentally goes to 1.8.
I can verify that.
That's like the
It's not
time.
by choice. If you see a bunch of pictures in a Lightroom catalog and it's 1.4, 1.4, 1.4, 1.8, 2, 2.2, 2.2, 2.8,
My fingers like
it's just Jules' fingers slipping. That's all it is.
No, but in saying that, the first 35mm I ever used was the 35 1.8, and that's when I fell in love with the 35 lens.
Where do you learn skin tones editing? Any book reference? Any good books?
I don't know. I personally learn everything by like doing it and experimenting and stuff like that. If I think of any good books, I'll share them on Twitter.
When creating your own presets, what are the factors you consider to create a preset that is flexible for the various shooting locations and skin tones you are working with? Patience.
Yeah, lots of patience.
It takes a long time and a lot of work to get a preset to work on everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I usually spend honestly, some presets I've spent years perfecting before I put them up for sale because I want them to work on as many different photos as possible. But yeah, it's all about I guess slowly tweaking it over time. Do you guys want to see? I've got my old presets from back when I was in high school that I made. They're really good. I'll show you a few of them. Oh my god, I really hate how Lightroom, when you hover over a preset, it shows you what it looks like on the main image because it makes it so slow. Okay, let's go to a photo at the beginning. Okay. This is one of my presets from back in the day. None of these are on my shop, by the way. This one. I was really hard on the vignetting. I love
I was going to say, the vignette on it is a bit much. It's a bit desaturated. Your blacks are a bit...
What's this one? It's this, it's like a weird blue thing.
No, it's post-process, man. Videographers would eat that right up. That's perfect, man.
I like how you complimenting him.
There's that vignette.
I know, I loved the vignette. Backlit circles. Ah, it's like a black and white.
Actually,
oh, here we go. As green as possible and as much vignetting as possible.
It's just green and blue. Again, it just looks like cross-process.
What was I thinking? I wonder if I can fix it. Okay. Let's fix
some old presets.
Develop settings, update to current presets.
Do you have any plans to do daily vlogs?
No, I don't think so. I feel like 2 videos a week is kind of a lot. Sometimes.
It takes a lot of work.
Yeah, it does take a lot of work.
And we're shooting other stuff on every other day. It's non-stop for us. We wouldn't be able to daily vlog regardless.
Yeah, I don't think we could even if we tried. Yeah, let's warm it up. Add some pinks.
Mirrorless or DSLR? What do you think is better?
I guess it depends.
Depends what you're doing, where you're going.
Yeah. I love the weight and how small mirrorless cameras are, so I would love to take the A7 III when we're traveling. Because I like to vlog while we're traveling and take photos, and it's so annoying because I used to vlog on the Sony A7 II, and I'd have to have the vlog camera and then also my Canon camera to take photos. So, yeah, it would be really nice to have one camera to vlog and take photos on.
Is that the preset?
Yeah, I'm fixing it.
That was quick. Still got a bit of vignette to get rid of there.
I'm getting there. We find the 35. No, sorry,
50.
This is the 50.
Why doesn't it know?
I don't know. Does that do it? No, you know what? I think I used to use the other one. Yeah. This weird. Oh my god.
That slide is touchy. Dead pixies?
What?
Yeah.
No, these are the little bugs that were flying around. I mean, that's a bit.
I get the Canons, but half the sensor is dead pixies on those Canons, but on the Sony.
I mean, it's brand new. I mean, it's a look. I tried.
So.
Yeah, what else?
Before and after?
What was the original?
Do you shoot black and white?
No, I don't shoot black and white. I know a few photographers that do though shoot black and white in their DSLR and then they download the photos and they're in color. But they do that to see if the tones in the image are right, like if they're exposing it correctly. I'm trying to find some bad ones for you guys.
Should do a video where you let us edit your photos.
That would be fun. You guys watch FIFA World Cup? Yeah. Argentina and Poland are doing amazing. They're doing so good. Here's another old preset of mine. I mean, everyone's going to start somewhere, right? Oh.
I'm still surprised that these work after 10, 12, 15 years, how old some of these are. Mm-hmm. The fact that they're still kicking in Lightroom, like that it still works.
Yeah.
Because some of these were based off camera roll, weren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Photoshop.
Yeah. Yeah, I made all of these in bridge camera roll.
Yeah, so this was pre-Lightroom days, when Lightroom didn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's pretty good.
That's
just not very black and white.
This black and white one here with like the green highlights, it was like my favorite preset to use. I used it for so many photos. I'm pretty sure they're still up on DeviantArt. Is there a perfect ratio for split toning to an orange? I always get the skin tone so wrong. I find that depending on what kind of photo you're working on, so I guess if it's like a very warm photo taken at like golden hour or something like that, I personally like to make the highlights of the split toning colder, so like in the blues, and then I make the shadows in the warms. And then if we're editing something that was shot in like the shade or it's a lot of more of a bluer image, I like to make the highlights warmer to like bring out that skin tone a lot nicer. And then I make the shadows like in the blues or purples. Do you only do wedding and portrait photography? Yeah, pretty much. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Stop doing everything.
I'm hitting that wall in the live stream right now, where I don't even know who I am.
We've shot anything and everything, but now it's pretty much portrait and weddings. And our travel stuff. We shoot for ourselves.
Yeah.
But for work, it's all... Yeah. Have either of you had a chance to test out the Fuji X100FR, the Fuji cameras? We have a Fuji camera.
None of the new ones, though.
Yeah, it's a something 100. Yeah, it's X100.
Oh.
Just an OG X100.
It's very old.
It's very old. But they're cool. They got a 23mm, which I think this is pretty much equivalent to a 35mm. Mm-hmm. So even Fuji 35mm. But
these presets.
That's a bunch of years old now, so it was good at the time. We haven't tested any new Fujis recently. Have you guys calibrated your screens, or are you comfortable with your monitors the way they are? All our screens are calibrated.
This one's great. They were all so green. All my presets back in the day. So I'm just like
the
taking
screen
a trip.
wasn't calibrated back in the day, maybe.
Mustn't have been.
Or you had a chunky backlight conking out on a Mac or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Turning orange, so you
I was like, this looks great.
I forgot what else. Yeah, calibrated. Yeah, all the monitors are calibrated in it. And like monitors we use for like small HD and external monitors for video rigs and stuff like that, everything's pretty much calibrated. So yeah, we know what it's going to look like when we bring it into the office to edit and stuff like that.
Oh my god, what the hell was I thinking here?
What is that?
It's just blue.
Is there any other colour?
It's just blue. There's a little bit of green.
Where?
In the grass.
Really?
Is it because of the white balance? Oh, yeah, it is.
Is your Lightroom library on your NAS? Does it slow down photo editing? Are you on one? No, okay. So, Lightroom library, your Lightroom libraries, they're not on the NAS.
No.
No. Our weddings are. Our wedding libraries are on the NAS.
But it doesn't slow anything
down. It doesn't slow anything down. And we're only on 1 gigabyte, so it's just clocking 110 megabytes a second. Max, which is enough to do any Lightroom editing, like having a catalogue of 1,500 images open.
Yeah,
is perfectly fine. Same as video editing, it's all done off the NAS as well. We just have our own links to the NAS, so the NAS has 2 Ethernet ports on it. That runs to a network switch that can also take the duplex, and then both our computers have a separate IP address so that we can both access one NAS at the same time and get 110 megabytes a second each.
Good job.
That sums it up.
I found it, this used to be my favourite colour preset to use. So the black and white one with the green highlights was my favourite black and white. This was my favourite colour one. There's nothing even going on here. It's like vibrance up, saturation up, done. And vignette.
Any tips on getting white balance correct, or do you auto all the way?
Oh, I always have manual white balance. I usually have it like set on 5200. 5200. As I find
52,000?
Yeah, it's very warm.
Damn, that's a unique feature.
I find that that's like a pretty good colour overall, and I don't really change it too much because, as I was mentioning before, the reason why I shoot everything in manual is because I like all my photos to look the same. So when I'm editing a wedding, I can really easily edit the first photo and then sync to a whole bunch that was shot in that same location with the same lighting, and it saves me a lot of time while I'm editing. Your Lightroom skin tones are ace now, thank you. It's much better than this, I don't know what I was thinking.
Any others?
The before and after. Skin tones now. Skin tones before.
So pretty.
I know, everything was just really green and like flat, I guess. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but the Mark II was the colours in it were a bit different as well. It was more orange.
No, these presets I made when I got my first camera. And even my family's point and shoot digital camera.
Something like that one.
Yeah.
Damn.
Which presets of yours do you recommend for a nice natural look? I can hover over some of them so you can have a look. I really like the preset London. It's a little bit like blue, but
that's one of my favorites.
Yeah. I really like that one. I feel like the skin tones are really nice, and the photos are overall quite like creamy colored, which I like. Let's see. There's also LA, which is this one right now, and I feel like that one's it's like contrasty and kind of like vibrant. So that one's kind of like, yeah, a very natural photo look. It's not too film-like either. And then I really like the Florence set as well. because it's like nice skin tones again, and it's not like too crazy. But yeah, hopefully that helps. What do you do more of, wedding or portrait photography? I do a lot more portrait photography.
I do a lot more wedding.
Hello from Maryland, USA. Where are you from? We're from Sydney, Australia. I think we're going to wrap up the stream really soon, you guys. So if you've got any last minute questions, we'll answer them now.
It's been 2.5 hours.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
It happened again.
Yeah, we're not going to be on for 3 hours this time. Do you think it's easier for a female photographer to connect to a female model, and what's your recommendation for models? I don't think it's easier. I think females run just as much chance as males to be awkward with models.
Mm-hmm.
I know so many male photographers that take the most beautiful photos of female models, so I don't really think that gender makes too much of a difference. It's more like how you connect with the model that you're working with and how you interact with them and stuff like that. But yeah, my recommendations, I guess,
it's your attitude,
just,
not your gender.
Yeah. My recommendation, though, I guess for your question, would just be to be polite and get to know them and talk to them. I feel like that works good for me. Works good. It would be cool if you could do a live stream critiquing photos. Actually, that's a really good idea, and that would be a really good way of getting through like a bunch of photos.
Yeah.
Because I don't want anyone to miss out. But I'd have to make like 1,000
There is doubt. Yeah. We're gonna be live streaming for like a week straight.
Okay. First, you heard of the 24-hour live stream. Would you like to live with us for a week?
Like if someone just orders us food around the clock, gets it delivered for us. It'll be right.
No last minute question, just a last minute thank you. It's a blessing to have you guys on YouTube. Greetings from Stockholm, Sweden.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I've only got the last 5 minutes of this. Will it be available to stay after you're finished? Yeah.
Yeah, we'll leave it up.
We'll leave it up.
Hey, what pizza you want? I want all the pizza. I love pizza.
Yeah, just
I feel like
no pineapple.
I like barbecue chicken or supreme.
Onion.
Honestly, any pizza is good. Have you guys had an onion pizza before? They are the best thing in the world. Thanks for your live stream. Bought your sea spray preset. It works really well. Yay! Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and I'm glad you guys like my presets. It makes me happy.
I'll take a day off of the live critique.
Alright, maybe we'll try and work something out and see if we can do a live critique, because that would be really fun.
Next stream, half live critique.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we should.
We'll work something out.
Julia, which Canon lens do you recommend for wedding low lighting, like in a church? I definitely recommend prime lenses because you've got those 1.2, 1.4, 1.8 apertures. Something like a 24-70, I used to use that for weddings. In churches, I have to bump up the ISO on the Canon 5D Mark III too much, that it's kind of really grainy and low quality. So I personally would recommend a prime lens. And Dan, which do you recommend for video and low light?
As wide as you can go, so like any lens that's running aperture of 1.4. 135 is, I think, the fastest you can pretty much get is a 1.8 or f2 sort of thing, so 135 is good as well. Primes.
Yeah, primes. Primes are amazing in low light. Do you think that Sigma art lenses are better than Canon ones? I haven't had too much time playing around with Sigma lenses, so I can't really say. I do have the Sigma 24 1.4. And when it does, it can take a really beautiful sharp photo, but the majority of the time it back focuses and misses the focus. So for me that's kind of a downfall because I can't like rely on it as much as I can on my other Canon lenses, like my 35 1.4.
But they take a good picture.
Yeah, but they do take a good picture. I can't wait to do the Sigma 35mm test and comparison. Have you tried using a 5D Classic? I think you might enjoy the colors it produces. I've never used one before. I would actually really like to. I feel like it should like fill in like my experience. Yeah, no, I've never used one. I've had the Mark II, the Mark III. That's it.
Cool.
Your Amalfi preset is fire. Thank you. Really quick, do you think that the Sigma art lenses are better than the Canons? Oh, I just answered that. When will you create Capture One preset? I really have to look into other programs to make presets for. But yeah, Capture One is on the list, and there was another one. I can't remember what it's called now. Alright, you guys, I think we're gonna head off. Thank you so much for being part of the live stream.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
I had so much fun talking to you guys.
I'm bugging.
Yeah, same. My voice, I can hear it. It's like croaky.
You gonna be able to talk to me?
Probably not.
Oh. Silent morning.
Yeah. With lots of coffee.
Who's making coffee?
You guys look tired. I'm always tired.
Right.
Where's my mouse?
See you guys.
Alright, see you guys. And yeah, I'll leave this live stream up on my YouTube channel so you can come back and watch it. Yeah, thanks so much for sticking around. Bye.
Thanks for joining. See you guys.